It was in excess of 10, 20 million.
You're listening to the first interview ever with the man behind the biggest group of convicted cheats in the history of casino gambling. They stole money, lots of money, from just about every casino in every city in every state.
Thousands of jackpots. It's just that sometimes we'd go on for weeks on end, setting up a few of them every day.
The FBI claims this group of 8 professional cheats who called themselves the Crew was mob-connected. The feds also say this man is on a mob hit list. The Crew cheated at everything. They perfected pass posting, as shown on this spin of roulette. That's when the cheat places a bet after the ball has already dropped. And this is surveillance footage of the Crew rigging a 6-pack deck of cards in 21. Did you catch it? Watch again in slow motion, and you'll see the dealer swap an entire shoe of cards, a move known in the trade as a cooler. The Crew made $250,000 from this cheat alone, which wasn't discovered until security guards checked the videotape the next day. George Lewis keeps a secret file on cheats. He went undercover to learn how they use a computer nicknamed David to win at blackjack.
It's through micro switches that are in the toes. It really can be located anywhere, but the most common place was in the shoes or the boots of somebody. So they input through those micro switches the information to David. David outputs to a little sensor anywhere located on the body through simple Morse codes of what to do, whether to hit, stand, and double down, and so forth.
Collectively, this group of cheats reined in untold tens of millions of dollars every year. The Brain, as he was called, was in charge of rigging slot machines.
Well, every machine was a little bit different, but I'd manipulate the symbols to actually pay out a jackpot, a large progressive jackpot. We would only hit the larger jackpots.
The biggest single jackpot the Brain rigged was for $900,000. The smallest he'd bother to collect, $50,000. The Crew recruited more than 1,000 people, most from Southern California, to collect or front the winnings. Here's how the system worked. The Brain figured out a way to photograph the double locks on slot machines, then used those photos to make keys.
There's a flaw in some of the high security locks what the government used and they used on slot machines that allowed you to read the combinations of the lock by viewing it.
You could actually see it.
You could actually see the combination cuts, the depths, were in even dimensions.
The Crew claims it had a key to every single slot machine in every casino.
There are a lot of ways to cheat at cards. One of the favorites, of course, is to mark them. A simple procedure like this, just taking grease off a forehead, you can daub the card or mark it like this, so that way next time it comes around, you know what it is. And while I was talking just then, I marked the cards another way as well. Did you catch it? Probably not, but they did up there on those security cameras, because I just bent this card, so the next time it comes through, we'll know it's an ace.
100,000 more cards.
This is the surveillance room in the new Treasure Island Casino. 500 cameras, nearly as many VCRs, make for formidable security.
We have capabilities of zooming in on any minute spot on the game. You can see we're coming down here now. You can see the spots on the cards very clearly, and the money. You can even tell, much clearer what's going on the game from this angle.
This maze of machinery costs more than $2 million. Operators say it helps catch the crooks.
We're just making sure that the dice never leave the table and they always are in view of us. We don't want anybody to bring in their own dice, even though there are controls built in.
The cheats see these eyes in the sky as easy pickings. The Brain told me that such devices actually make his work easier because they give casinos a false sense of security.
I honestly believe it can be worse off than ever was.
Really? Why is that?
Nowadays, everything's controlled by a microprocessor, and it's predetermined before you actually pull the handle. So the symbols can actually be rigged underneath the camera and everything else if the machine is properly set up.
The Brain and his crew eventually got caught. He ratted on his fellow cheats. The Crew convicted on all 120 counts, including racketeering. The Brain has been a faceless man in the crowd ever since, a member of the Federal Witness Protection Program. He's lived in 8 different cities under 8 different names, holding down 8 different jobs over the past decade. The Brain remains convinced to this day that if the mob ever finds him, they'll kill him. Still, he has no remorse for committing and perfecting what he calls the perfect crime.
It's perfect crime, and if it got away with it, there was no crime committed. You hear that bell ringing and nobody's seen you put the jackpot up. And if nobody says anything, that wasn't ever a crime.
Sort of a modern day Robin Hood, right?
Right, except we keep the money.
So if we keep the money.
Bob Donnelly, Fox News.